So, as we've been talking the past couple of weeks, homeschool, film school is now kind of where we break down where we are in the process of making our mini-series, and we're still in development because we want to have a good foundation for the rest of the project to be able to execute it smoothly. What we've been working on for the past 2 weeks and that we just finished yesterday, you can see the results on the big...
I can see your hand.
On the big board here. Maybe you can't see, but we have a whiteboard now full of story arcs for 6 episodes, which is really exciting. Now we know not exactly what happens in each episode, but pretty close to
It's interesting to actually...
a good overview of each arc, I would say. That's what we have now.
For as long as we've been working on it, to actually get to a point of saying, these, not only is this a series, but it's 6 episodes.
Yeah.
So when we've started to disseminate the information of where they go, what slot they fit into, to actually finally be able to say, because we wavered back. Initially, is it a movie? Is it 24 episodes?
Right.
Is it down to 10? Is it down to 8? To like actually get like, these are 6 solid stories that interlock into one piece.
Yeah, it builds towards something, and there's multiple characters have journeys throughout the series that now have a payoff in our last episode, which is really cool.
Yeah, so it's amazing like how much time, when we started the year and we started the idea, we're like, okay, so break out the notebook, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And then it's months and months later.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, let's call it 6 episodes.
Yeah.
We've got that much.
Yeah, so now we know what we want to happen, and so the next step will be take those story arcs and break them down and weave the A, B, and C stories together into the beats in the chronological episode order they will be in. And I forget exactly, but I think the recommendation is like 36 beats for a half-hour sitcom. And a beat is just like a moment of action. Which you'll have like multiple beats per scene, but yeah, we'll get more into that next week when we dive into what that is. For now, we've as of yesterday we spent 3 hours, which is the longest time we've spent on the story arc process.
Which itself
for the last episode yesterday
is interesting that it is the last episode. And we kind of know what the end of the story is anyways. We kind of started with the idea of what the end of the story is. But then, even with that amount of planning to get to the last episode and being like, wait a second, move this over here and move this over here. And it turns out to be the longest. The thing we had planned the most took us the longest to plan.
But it was like the most intricate, most interwoven set of stories, because we have kind of 3 ideas that we're following in this last episode, and so they depend more than other episodes where kind of the emotional payoff we don't need to be so strong, because a mid-season episode is different from that's what is going to make it different from our season finale, possibly series finale. We did want to have this emotional payoff, so we needed to have Patrice and David each had their own separate journeys, but they were going through them together and reinforcing for each other, the good times and the bad times.
Do you think like having an ending planned, but then going back and like filling in how do we get there means I kind of feel like we were spending the whole time sweeping up stuff back to the ending of like we wanted the living room to look like this.
Right.
And then like you clean up all around it, and then you're like, wait a minute, the couch doesn't actually fit there anymore. We're gonna have to move it over here, or like.
Yeah, I guess it's a good metaphor for what we were doing, because so the 3 elements we wanted were David has success with his band, Patrice has some sort of success, which admittedly is vague, and then they have to move apart.